How's it? I'm Honan.
I'm Oliver.
Today we have a very special episode of Oliver Teaches Honan Hangul.
Yeah,
I, Hangul alphabet, and I think that's basically it, right? Just the alphabet, like pretty much we're
yeah,
starting.
yeah. It's this might be a disaster, so
Yeah.
bear with us. um, I guess I'll start by just giving like some background about the Korean language and stuff because it's pretty interesting. I think um, so while Korean people were speaking their own language, they were speaking the predecessor to modern Korean in the region of Goryeo of Korea. um, they didn't have their own script. They wrote using classical Chinese characters, but
Mm.
with like a native phonetic pronunciation. So you basically would sound out a Korean word and write it in classical Chinese characters, which the Koreans called hanja. But naturally, this was being in the middle of the 1400s. People weren't necessarily that literate, and classical Chinese is a very difficult language to learn.
Yeah.
The average person has to study for many years, especially back then, without the resources and stuff we have now to learn how to read and write Chinese. So King Sejong wanted the Korean people to learn to be easily educated. He wanted them to learn how to read and write a lot better, a lot quicker. So he developed an alphabet by himself. He didn't call it Hangul at the time, incidentally. That name came later. This was in 1443. He came up with this over the period of a few years. It's said that the consonants mimic the sound of your lips and tongue when you say them, and the vowels are based on the principles of yin and yang, harmony, vowel harmony.
It's a
But
little different.
yes, but what's funny is about 50 years after it started being a thing, a new King Yonsang-sun, or Yonsang-un, sorry, he banned it because someone wrote a newspaper article criticizing him.
Of
and he
course.
was
Yeah.
and he was like, if the commoners don't know how to read and write, then people can't write stuff that criticizes me. So I'm gonna ban it. And it wouldn't be until the 19th century that it would be kind of re-adopted into then Joseon Korea, and was officially adopted as the official language for official documents and everything in 1894. And it then of course suffered from having to be used alongside Japanese, which meant that the standard of education was still kind of limited. Like while people were still learning how to read and write Korean, they were also having to read and write Chinese characters and to learn Japanese as well while under Japanese occupation. So standards of Korean literacy didn't really start to massively improve until the kind of 50s and 60s, which is like an interesting thing to
That's
think
pretty
about it
crazy. Yeah.
in context.
It's crazy to think
Um,
one king wanted everyone to understand their language better, and the other one was like, I don't want to be insulted.
yeah,
Like it changed
exactly.
that whole dynamic.
Um, so it's essentially a very scientific language. It's meant to be very simple and logical, and once you kind of understand the logic behind it, it becomes very easy to learn. And that's the point. It's meant to be easy compared to how difficult learning Chinese or Japanese can be. Um, so
Not gonna lie, the whole
let's
time
get
you
started.
talked about that history, I imagined Sejong from Iowa as King Sejong.
Yeah,
I was like, God, Sejong invented the modern Korean alphabet.
it's a good name. Sejong the Great, indeed. Um, yeah, so yeah, may as well get started. So yeah, there are 24 basic characters. There's 14 consonants and 10 vowels, which obviously is very different to English, where we sort of have 20, 21 consonants and 5 or 6 vowels, depending on what you consider Y, which kind of serves as both.
Yeah.
Um, then there's complex vowels. So when I learned it, I didn't learn complex vowels as a separate thing. I just learned them as part of the regular vowel setup. And you can kind of mix different vowels together to make complex vowels. But I think it's better to just learn them individually and then you can put them together. But I put these four in just because I think they're very useful and commonly used. And there's double characters as well, which are consonant sounds, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Double
so
letters.
for the sake of clarity, I'll refer to the individual script things as characters. And when you put multiple characters together, you make a letter. And then when you put multiple letters together, you make a word, right? Just that some people will use the word letter to mean one
I
character.
understand. I understand what you mean when you put some of these characters and they actually form a letter together, and then when you put enough of them, it forms a structured sentence, right?
Yeah, because like the actual Korean letter, jamo, is written it's called a syllable block with but it's better. It's just for simplicity's sake, we'll just think of it like one character, but two characters make a letter, and then multiple letters make one word.
Gotcha.
Think of a letter as a syllable. It is another way to think of it.
Okay.
So you can have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4 characters per letter. You cannot have a single character letter, and you can't have like a 10 character letter.
Interesting. So maximum's 4.
Maximum is 4, and
okay.
it's rare to have
4. Gotcha.
Like there are some that here and there, but it's not like generally the most common are 2 and 3.
Okay.
All Korean letters, however, must have one vowel and one consonant character, even if you do not pronounce one of them. If you do, so normally, if you the one that you won't pronounce is the consonant, and I mentioned that in a second. Okay. So when you're reading it, you read the character, the letters right to left, left to right, sorry, top to bottom. So you read the top half of it first, and then the bottom half, left to right, left to right,
left to right, top first, bottom half last.
Yes.
Okay.
All words and sentences are read left to right, so it's the same as English. It's not like Japanese, but you're reading from right to left.
Gotcha. that was going to be really hard for me if it was the opposite inverted direction for it.
And letters follow, you can call it the CVC structure, so consonant, vowel, consonant. If there are going to be 3, it will be CVC, and if it's 2, it'll be CV.
Okay.
So I've romanized all of the characters, but it's not a common mistake that people make is they go, oh, this is the A sound or this is the O sound, and that's not exactly right. It's A and O is the best way for us to approximate how it sounds in Korean, but it's not exact.
Gotcha.
So the pronunciation won't always be exact, and sometimes you'll be like, wait, how do these 2 English letters make that sound? That's not how we would say it. It's like we're making do with the best that we have to make it make sense to us. I will also add my own caveat here that I am not fluent in Korean and my pronunciation is not flawless. And likelihood here I will kind of over exaggerate my pronunciation to make it easier to understand rather than how it would be said in conversation, because Koreans tend to merge sounds together when they're speaking.
Yeah, of course. Anyone who's naturally speaking their language, it'll have this fluidity of it where
like, so I think most people know like the polite way of saying hello in Korean is 안녕하세요 is the full. But people don't go 안녕하세요 to each other. They go 안녕하세요. Like they just say it really quickly and merge that sound, send the middle of the sound together. Okay, so there's 2 notes as well. So when you have to just say like a single vowel sound by itself, like when you're going ah or oh, you cannot just write the vowel sound for ah or oh. You have to have a consonant sound with it. So they use we'll just call it like the circular one. And they use that going as part of that letter, and you just don't say it. You don't pronounce it. It just represents the silence.
Gotcha, but it has to be attached as a character to form that letter.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So but that consonant, when used on its own, when used in like a different word at the end of a word, it's the ng sound, the ng sound. So
So if
just
it's
don't
if it's
get
at the end of a
confused.
word, it has basically as like
And you have to say
and
it.
you have to
Yes.
say it. But that's
Yes.
particularly only when it's at the end.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so if you see that sound, that character in front of a vowel, don't think you have to go nga
Yeah. I got
or
you.
something, right? And then the s sound equivalent is we say it like s, the same way that we say an s in English, except when it's paired with the long vertical line here, which is makes it sh. That's the only time it becomes slightly different. It's just
So
something to remember.
that's not she, but like sh.
Yeah. So well, the long vertical line is the I sound.
Mm.
So she.
At
Yes.
least
But
the long vertical line isn't hard to remember being an I sound because
yeah.
that's a
And
lot
obviously
simpler.
each one of the characters has its own name in Korean, but I'm not gonna try and make you learn all of those. So once we learn the character sounds and how they sound, we'll just say like the I sound or the O sound or whatever, just
Yeah.
for the sake of convenience, because otherwise we'll be here all night trying to remember. And I honestly I don't remember the name of all of the different characters, so yeah, it's fine. Okay, any questions for this intro bit?
Actually, that was really good description. I don't have really too many questions about it or anything.
The
I
rest of
feel
it, some of it will make more sense once we actually look at
when we get to double characters, I feel like that's when I'm gonna have questions.
Okay, we'll get there.
So
So
what?
let's.
I guess the goal maybe today should be maybe like me understanding the alphabet enough to spell maybe like a bias name or something. Do you feel like that's
Well,
doable goal or
at
something?
the at the bottom of this, the last thing we'll do is a little test where I've written out the names of some notable people and some notable groups, and you can see if you
Gotcha.
can
I feel
sound
like
them
when I
out.
think about Cher Young's name, it's such a long name that, that it's like that
And
doesn't.
yet, actually, very easy to write in
Oh,
Korean.
okay, cool.
Okay, so let's go down to vowel sounds, the first part. I think you'll have to scroll on your side as well. I can't
Oh, okay.
control for you.
Vowel sounds. Beep, boop. There we go.
So, the first one we have is ah.
Mm.
Classic. Simple enough, right? It's just ah. There's
Yeah.
not much differentiation between that and the English sound. Yeah. And you'll start to notice some kind of patterns in how the sounds work. Like you have the horizontal or vertical line as like the basis, and then you have like a little extra marker to indicate different things. So we have the vertical line with the rightward facing prong is the ah, and then the leftward facing prong is
Ugh. Okay,
like,
so I want to
yeah,
read that like eo, but it's
yeah.
I
So
gotcha.
yeah, exactly. It's not like yo or
Yeah.
yeah, it's oh. It's this one can be hard to pronounce accurately.
Mm.
And generally you can think of it in the same way as kind of a cross between UH in English and ER, I think is the best way to think of it. So
Gotcha.
I tend to try and have a couple words that I remember that I use as fallback for how to pronounce something. So the word I use for this one is butter. That butter.
Mm.
That is this sound, the in butter.
Butter.
Yes. Then just straight vertical line, nothing about it is the I sound, which is E more than I.
All right, I feel like eyes good to go for me.
Yeah.
I've got my. So
Yeah.
one question I do have that the does the prong size on like see how it's smaller prong versus the other like prong for does
Yeah.
prong size change
No, not at all.
things? Okay, got you.
I think that's more just because when you use it to form letters, the prong can actually shift on the axis,
Okay, I see.
and it sometimes will kind of merge into the other
Gotcha.
other characters. Okay, so we have a horizontal line with a northward prong is a O.
And it is just O, or is it?
Yes, O. And then downward facing, southward facing is U, or more oo than
Ooh.
u.
Okay.
Yeah. We have just a horizontal line is
Eh.
yeah.
Eh.
And we have two. So we see how the A is one rightward facing prong, and when you have two, it makes it a ya at the front. So we have ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
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 Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the same way, we have the one leftward facing prong is the sound. We have two, and it's yo.
Yo. Yo.
Then we have the same way as O is one up. Yo is two up. Okay. Don't do this gesture to explain.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. I think that's universally not a good gesture to make, so you won't be doing that. Yeah.
And then U being one down, two down is U. Okay. Simple enough, right? You just add the Y in front.
So I did it twice. What? That's nice. So Y being added is always just the double prong, basically. Yes. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, then we have these complex vowels, as they're called, which is a merging of vowel sounds. So we have A, which is two vertical lines joined by a prong. E, which is, well, as you can see, a vertical line and then a vertical line with the leftward prong. Yay, which is the same as A but with two prongs, as you can probably deduce by now.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, same as air but with two prongs, giving it the yeah.
Okay, so the prong system thing is really important to their language then, because that's how you're understanding what you're doing, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the ones that can give trouble is kind of just remembering which facing direction is which sound.
Right being on, left being ugh, basically. Yeah. But I don't need to go ugh, but it's like ugh, yeah. Right? That's it. Yeah. Ugh, like right? Yeah. Yes. It's not like Roblox like ugh when you get like hit by something or whatever. Gotcha. So it's e o. U is how is U's pronunciation?
U is like oo.
Ooh.
Think of it as like the double O in English.
We have ya, yo. What's Y-E-O? I'm not remembering particularly.
So think of the E-O as and then ya.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Yo, and then yo is that like
yo and you. Yeah.
Yo and you. Okay.
Yeah. So
at
like
least U is a U sound, so that'll be a lot easier.
So if you think of like annyeonghaseyo, yo, the yo at the end is that yo sound.
Okay.
And generally speaking, the yo, if you hear that at the end, it indicates the formality. But we won't touch on like honorific endings and stuff like that.
For sure.
Just the sounds. Yeah, so obviously you don't have to sit and try and memorize all of it. You can
no, if we did that right,
you can keep it here. You can refer back to it as we.
Yeah, I can study it. And we can do like a check-in on progress or something in the future.
So, yes, the complex ones. I think I don't know. You might even just choose to learn them all as one, which is what I did. I didn't learn them as vowels and the complex vowels. I just was like, okay, I learned it like A-E-I-O-U, in the same way that we did in English, and then just the other ones on top of it. I guess whatever suits you.
Yeah, no worries. I think it is easier to combine them.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other complex vowels, but it's just like take like different ones of these and combine them. So as long as you know how they are individually, then you can combine them when you see them together. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Then we can go down to consonant sounds, which I feel like are harder than the vowel sounds generally because there's some overlap. So now, how can I describe these? So I guess we have like the upper right angle, I guess is the way to call it, is the g sound.
G.
Yeah. So what can be tough about this is that it's very much an in between of a G and a K, and it's not J. It's only a hard G, only the G.
G.
Yeah. And you can think like this is the it's meant to be like the roof, your tongue against the roof of your mouth, or like your placement of your tongue, like
gotcha.
the back of your mouth.
G. Like
G. Yeah. Then bottom left right angle is N.
So it's N for N.
Yep. Then we have the approximations for these is very similar. So this, I guess we can call it like a square missing its final line is like
yeah. D.
Then this one, this is probably the one that is most difficult for people to learn because it exists between L and R. So the way to get this right is to place your whole tongue along the roof of your mouth, going like as far back as you can, and say it like you're then try and say L. So like yeah. It's not L and it's not R. It's
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why like Korean people can struggle with L and R sounds in English because they don't have it's called rhotic if you want to be fancy about it. They don't have a rhotic R in the same way that English does.
For sure.
They just have and it's used interchangeably.
For both L and R, like with that same
pronunciation.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're trying to Koreanize, Hangalize an English word, you can use it for L and R sounds, which can be kind of weird to learn.
I feel like they're not too hard to remember. So it's like G, N, D, and like going across those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then full square is M.
M.
Yeah. And then we have this charming
so I'll just think of M
with,
like MA basically.
With ears.
M.
Yeah. Little square with ears with the prongs is B. Or maybe don't think of it as prongs because it doesn't have the same connection to the vowels. This one is S. Yeah, just yeah. Okay. And then we have the circle or silence, as we said before. The S with a hat is J.
J.
And then the same thing, but this time with the prong going through is Ch.
Ch. Okay.
Yeah. So the J and Ch can be like it's simple enough, but you just kind of have to remember which one is which.
For sure.
Because they look very similar. The K one I think is very familiar to anyone who's met Koreans online because if you see a series of this character, it's the equivalent of like ha ha ha.
Okay, so that's why you see the okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
like
it's that, yeah. But it's very much a hard K, and it's sometimes can be difficult to distinguish in sound from the G, like G and K. There is a distinction, but it can, in some situations, it can be harder to distinguish.
Gotcha.
This one, which looks like a capital E, is T. This one, which is like a box drawn badly, or prison cell, I guess. Yeah, think of it like that. P for prison cell. Yeah, and then the little circle with a hat is H for hat. Simple enough, right?
Mm-hmm. H is easy. Nothing. It's like you're jumping around.
Yeah,
you're moving around. Okay.
So nothing too crazy. Just remembering the difference between the ch and the j and the sound.
Yeah, I feel like the j, ch are the trickiest one in all of this, just because of how similar they are. But it's kind of easy. So ch just has the prong through the top.
Yes, and it's also just important to remember that like there is no independent C character here.
Okay. Interesting.
Because obviously C in English serves the purpose of two sounds, right? It can be a k or a s, where we have k and s, but we don't have, they're independent. And equally the CH, it doesn't have the H character in it. It's a different it's an independent sound, right?
Gotcha.
We're not using the same letters to make it. So yeah. Okay.
G, g, d. Ma. It's like ma for M, right? Ma.
Yeah.
B. S for the S. When you actually pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
And then J for J, right?
Yep.
Ch. And then K. Was T with like a T? Was that?
Yep.
Yeah, T. P. A.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, then yeah, consonants are too. Okay, that's not bad. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can go down to
everyone. By the way, I say thank you to Oliver for this. Like you did a really good job making like this whole system up.
Thanks.
For this. Nice.
And if there's any questions that anyone has about any of this, then just let me know, and I can try and my best to answer.
Just write it in the comments below.
Yeah. So we have the double characters, which you were afraid of, but
yeah.
Honestly,
G, baby.
Yeah, so they're actually not pronounced any differently. Well, they are pronounced differently, but they're not pronounced like drastically differently to their single versions. So we have like the double G. You just say it hard. It's like.
So it's like it's just a harsher pronunciation, basically.
Yeah, you aspirate it harder, so you put more air into like.
Gotcha.
But it's easy when you see the word written and you can go, okay, this is the double sound, and you put it in. But when you hear people speaking, it can be hard to
in conversational Korean. Yeah. To the inflections of it.
Yeah. That's some of the hardest aspects of Korean in general, is if you're trying to transcribe what someone is saying, figuring out exactly what sound they've used can be harder than if you just see it written. So duh is just d. But it's duh. S is s. J is sh.
I just basically have to imagine I'm mad at someone pronouncing it almost like.
But a lot of the time, it can be interchangeable. Like if you eat like jjajangmyeon, a lot of the time it's written with the double sound at first, and then one is like jjajangmyeon, jjajangmyeon. But you see it written with just one J as well, and people aren't that fussy.
Yeah, especially I imagine if you're a foreigner trying to speak the language, they're way less fussy about that, you know.
Yeah. So another way you can think of the double B here is if you think of it as like the double P in like apple.
Okay.
For example, like app, but it's like kind of an in between of B and P in this case. Gotcha. I think the hardest one in terms of just remembering or like being able to distinguish is the double G, the single G, and the K, because there's a lot of overlap, and it can be kind of hard to hear each one, and it takes a lot.
Yeah, when I watch like a drama and I hear Korean spoken naturally at like a quick speed, it can sometimes seem like sentences are ending the same a lot. You know, like that kind of roll to it all the time, you know. But then
there's a lot of common sentence endings, but that is in part because of honorifics. A lot of sentence or word endings are added because of making it formal.
Okay, yeah, because there's a formal speaking way to end every phrase of what you're saying, kind of.
Yeah, so a lot of things will end with yo or nida or some ida.
Yeah.
So you'll hear those a lot. But there's probably maybe like 5 sentence endings that are really common.
When you speak Korean to someone, they not expect you to speak it in honorifics?
Because no, they do.
They do still, yeah. So even if you're
as a foreigner, like you'll get like a let off if you don't say something.
If you make a mistake with it, yeah.
They'll appreciate that you're trying at all. Mm-hmm. But if you use like for example, sorry, I have an example of this. So um, the way to say me too, you'd say nado, me too,
Mm.
which is the informal way of saying it. If you wanted to say it formally, you say choto, me too. So do means two, and you can say na or cho for
So
me,
cha's
depending on.
formal and na's informal.
Yeah. So for example, I was out having a drink with a lady, and the server came over and he was like, hey, what do you guys want? And she was like, the girl was like, oh, I want, we'll get this, and then I want this beer. And I was like, I didn't know what to order, so I was just like, oh yeah, me too. And I said nado, and he was like, okay, and then he like read it and went away. And then she was like, you should have said choto because you don't know him.
Gotcha. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when it's not a personal relationship, you just assume formality with the language.
Once you reach a certain level of familiarity, you can switch to using banmal, it's called, to using informal language. There's also like degrees of formality as well. There's like a kind of informal politeness, and then there's like a very formal strict politeness where you have to change it again.
That's really interesting, the concept of just any stranger just kind of just always having that formal version of your language you speak, basically.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same way as like like how staff in a hotel will call you sir. It's just that kind of.
For sure, I think people don't realize in their own language how much they are formal at times when you first meet someone and you're just kind of not speaking to them in like a friendly manner,
Yeah, it's like, I think it can be a difficult concept for English speakers to get their head around, because in English we don't change existing words, we just use different words. Right? Like when you start a new job and you meet your boss, you don't go, hey, sup, bro? Like,
exactly. Yes,
you're like, oh, nice to meet you, sir. Like,
it's
like you just use different words, and your tone and your gestures and everything is different, and it's the same rule applies. It's just, instead of changing the word completely, sometimes you do that, but a lot of the time it's just what ending of a core root that you change.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure if we can do a part 2 lesson at some point where we can talk about honorifics and stuff.
When I have enough understanding, try and have a formal, like, small conversation.
Teach you how to introduce yourself and stuff. Yeah. So generally though, like, double characters are a lot less common, and like, you don't have to worry so much about exactly nailing the pronunciation. Like, it can, like, the difference between the word she and the word she. So single si and double si, the word single si is she means city and she means seed. But so obviously the context will be the indicator.
Yeah, if you're telling someone I'm
about.
going to the city or I'm going to the seed, that's a very different sentence you've just spoken. Yeah, but
exactly. So, and Korean is very heavily context based, because you don't use pronouns very much. So you just kind of have to get the idea of what's being talked about, because it makes sense what you're talking about.
So I guess, like, when you hear like egyo, when they're doing that to each other, is that like a thing where they start really pronouncing double characters in a like funny way or something, or like they're just pronouncing it in
that's just basically like talking like a baby.
Oh, okay, because that's what it like means, huh? Like baby talk.
Ai is the word for baby, or agi. Like, and yeah, it's just making it childish and cute.
Gotcha. It's just basically making it seem like baby talk, basically.
Yeah. You can also actually change words in general. You can add endings to make it cute. So like a common word for thank you is 감사합니다. 감사합니다. 감사 is thanks, and 합니다 is like I have thanks. There's the best way of kind of explaining that. But if you're trying to say it cute, you might say 감사합니다.
And you
put like an ng at the end to make it more.
I've got
cute.
you.
And just like playful,
Not that I will ever have any usage of Aegyo myself. I don't think anyone wants Honen Aegyo happening.
100,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
You do the Otake song.
Oh
Um,
no.
the well, one thing I've realized after being here is that because a lot of the spoken Korean that I've been like listening to whilst learning has been from watching idol content. A lot of the time being girl groups because I just tend to watch more content from girl groups. Um, it means that my own spoken Korean tends to be more like feminine sounding. Like my pitch is higher and I have like cuter inflections than perhaps I should. I don't know.
Yeah,
To the point people have commented on it. They're like, "Why do you sound like that when you talk
oh,
Korean?"
they think you have like a very feminine way of speaking Korean because
yeah,
of gotcha the inflections
yeah,
that you, which I mean it makes sense because when you're watching, it's like when someone talks about when like they learned RM right talks about how he learned English from like Friends or something. Like I imagine if I grew up learning how I speak from a certain show or something, some of my inflections would be from like a character
yeah,
of who I watched or something.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. And there's certainly yeah ways that you hear them speaking and stuff. Like if you think of Hotel Del Luna, for example, the way that that your Jingu's character speaks is really formal and polite and proper, and then the way that IU's character speaks is very like rough and informal
Yeah.
and like rude. It's like a different the way they speak to each other. You can hear the two sides of Korean at the same time. It's quite an interesting little experiment.
Yeah, that's the you'll notice like I use yeah, you notice that actually as you're watching it the way I use talking to him sometimes is purposefully that like rude pronunciation
Yeah,
of the same kind of words that is happening.
yeah, exactly. So it adds a lot for when you're a writer. You can make some interesting choices and explain things in ways that you probably can't otherwise. Um, okay. Any questions about the character sounds?
No, double characters is not as confusing as I was thinking it's going to be.
Yeah,
I think so. Like the double, is it "buh" how you do "b"?
Yeah.
So, but so it's more like Apple with the double B though, where you're doing kind of this like boop kind of thing with it. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the only one that has that out of the double characters.
Yeah, I think so. I can't think of.
I'm sure there's scenarios with like language, you know, where
there's always exceptions, but
yeah,
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
No, nice. I you made it easy to grasp, so it's not like I'm confused about it or anything. I think the hardest part for me, I'm one of those people when I learn something, I have to almost take it on my own as like a notes thing, and then I have questions. You know, like in the moment, I usually don't have like a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'm the same, but obviously everyone has their learning style.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
I was not like the kid in class who would be like raising the hand. It was much later when I'd come back with a full notebook of like
yeah
exactly.
I get you. Okay, so then we can scroll down to our little intro to some basic words and stuff. So here I wrote the romanizations of them out again. So you'll note that the first two are examples of how you have just a vowel sound, but how you have to use the silence to make the letter. You can't just have it on its own. So we have like oh. So this is literally one of the most common things you'll ever hear in Korea. You can use it for something like ah. If you want to hear a question or showing understanding
Okay, yeah. So I got you. The inflection with the same word having different meanings. Okay,
or even just when someone's talking, you're just going and it's a very common thing in Korean. It's actually like it's basically mandatory that you have to consistently show the person that you're listening to that you understand what they're saying or that you're following along with them. And you just kind of have to keep going
This is very similar to yes for English. We're like yes or like
but
yes,
but
or
like
like very
even we're kind of like midway through what they're saying. You're constantly making these little affirmatory noises in order to
gotcha.
indicate that
Okay.
you're on board with what they're saying.
So you'd be like,
And to the point that
like when someone's saying something constantly,
yeah,
basically. Yeah, yeah.
like so sometimes if you're on, especially if you're on the phone and someone is giving you very detailed instructions, you go mm-hmm, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like this sort of thing. Um, but to the point that it's like if you don't do it, and I feel like we don't do it as much in English, especially if you're talking to each other just like face to face normally. Um, Koreans can find it kind of weird. Like, so I remember my Korean teacher in England. She was like, "Guys, like, can I ask you a favor? Like, when I'm explaining something, can you show me that you understand by
And
like say,
acknowledgements. Yeah.
yeah, because otherwise she's like, I don't know if you're on board or not, So we had to go, and it feels kind of forced at first when you're not used to it, but like it kind of becomes like second nature.
Yeah, because in English we kind of have this forced silence when you're listening to acknowledging things sometimes. Yeah, for sure. Like especially when I'm teaching guitar to someone who's American or something, there will just be long gaps of like absorbed silence. But it is different when I've taught different. Obviously, I have a lot of Chinese students as well and stuff like that, and they are a lot more vocal sometimes when you're telling them something about what they're learning. So yeah, that is interesting. I never actually really thought about that very much, but
yeah, like if you watch Knowing Bros, for example, when a guest is telling their story, you'll hear the affirmatory noises coming from the bros, especially Yongchul. Yongchul, I think, is really clearly you can hear him going oh oh when they're saying, like, you really hear it. Once you just notice it, you hear it all the time. Yeah, so two examples, we have oh and then we have ah. So yeah, just go ah ah ah, say just onomatopoeia basically. Oh, I made a mistake here. This is not just K, of course, this is Key. So if we think of Key from Shiny, that's how you write his name, Key.
Oh, that's how you write Key from Shiny. Okay, that's dope. So it's not Key, like for
no, that's how we would approximate it. Yeah, but that's how our spelling is. But yeah, Key. And sometimes even just talking about a key, you can use the word key. There's a lot of English loan words in Korean. But often there is like a Korean word and an English loan word, and they're kind of used interchangeably. Koreans will understand if you say key, they understand what you mean. But if you want to say the pure Korean, you say yolsue, which is the Korean word for key. But you can use both.
Gotcha.
No problem. Same is true for this next word, which is cha. So we have the ch consonant and the a.
It's nice that some are literally just pronounced like as they are romanized, basically.
Yeah. That's what the romanization is there for.
No, I know, but I feel like when you see romanized Korean in like a song, sometimes you see certain
when
words.
You see like full long words.
Yeah, you're just like, whoa, when you see a full word.
I always would recommend like learn the Hangul and read the Hangul. Like it's a lot better. So cha, cha is, well, it can be car. Chadongcha is car, but cha could be a short form for car. Or tea. I think tea is the one I tend to think of more, like chai. The same root origin is chai. But equally, you can have the word tea, so like the T and then an I, and that would also apply to tea. They would understand both. You can get aisu tea, iced tea,
nice.
Or you can get cha is tea. As a British person, very important for me to learn that. Yeah. Get it down. Then we have a classics. We have the N consonant and the E consonant, ne, which is yes. But ne, like is used for so much more than just yes.
But seems to be like the more commonly used affirmation word. I mean, versus saying ne. Like all the time.
So when you're just listening to a person talk and they're not telling you to do something, then you just say Like,
Gotcha.
so would be circle, like, A Pink song title,
Yeah,
like,
percent.
yeah, yeah, that's the same deal. Ne, but you can use it if you call someone's name. So I'll be like, oh no, and you'd be like, ne.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
yeah, but just or you're just again like ne, ne, ne,
I
ne.
see a lot of the silent in these letters and
Yes,
going on. So
yes,
yeah.
it's a lot. Because a lot of vowel sounds stand as independent letters, so you have to, bear that in mind. Um, yeah, so ne, and then there's also ye, which is a more formal yes. So going again, referencing Hotel de Luna, Chingu, when he's listening to what I would say, he would go yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
It's just more polite, and like even like from when I go to my pharmacist, for example, he will tell me like yeah instead of ne. It's just a bit more formal.
So
More
remembering the formal informal as a foreigner would seem like the hardest part of it all. Really.
can be, yeah. Like generally, as a rule, just use formal only. Because it's never a bad thing to use formal when you're supposed to use informal, but it can be a bad thing to use informal when you're supposed to use formal.
Yeah, you no one's gonna be mad that you're formal versus
yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
People might be like, if you're a super formal, and people are like, yeah, why? It's kind of like introducing yourself like a medieval knight. You're like, greetings, fellow humans. But yeah, it would be like it would be a bit strange, but not like crazy. Yeah, so we have H and A makes ha.
Ha.
Easy. Yeah. And that would just be a laughter. Ha ha ha.
Oh, so ha is actually laughter then.
Yeah.
Ha, okay. And there's that dude from Running Man, haha, right?
Haha, yeah. Yeah, his name would literally just be it's just that twice. Haha.
His name is just laughing. That's what I mean.
Then we have I actually didn't include any 4 character letters here, but we have a 3 here. So we have the J, the I, and then the N. So you read it left to right, and then the bottom part. So Jin.
Jin. Oh, okay. Yeah. So most of these are really simple pronunciations comparatively to some languages when I've started learning, like through the pronunciation part.
Yeah.
Reading left to right really helps with the.
It makes character. It a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There might be one extra word I might include here just as an example, but I'll do that at the end. Okay. So we had some yeses. Jin, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have any meanings. I don't think. Oh, you can use it. No, it does. It's true, truth.
Okay.
So like, the most common way you'd hear this expressed is people if they want to confirm that something is true, they go 진짜. 진짜? Like, really? Is it true? 진짜?
And that
진짜요?
inflection is what is making that.
Makes that the question. 진짜?
진짜? Yeah. Gotcha.
And then you can say like, oh, I'm serious. 진짜. Yeah.
So with this character being formed as a letter right now, Jin, how would you add the at the end as a character?
As 진짜?
Yeah.
So that's where we add our good old fashioned double letter.
Okay, that's gotcha. Okay.
We'd make it like this.
Where our double letters become useful. Okay.
To be 진짜.
Okay, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. There's no limit to how many letters you can add into a word, right? You can have a huge letter.
Well, you see that when you see romanized
exactly.
parts of songs, and you're like, "Holy shit!" When something scrolls across,
Yeah.
The size of the romanized amount of romanized letters being put in there.
Yeah, exactly. But it does. Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. It's the best thing about Korean. It all kind of makes sense when you think about it. So no, we have in the middle here. ani,
Honey.
ani. Um, and you can, and again, there's endings that you add, like aniyo would be the formal way of saying no. But you can have like, you won't see girls especially be like, aniya,
Okay, yeah, that's the egg yolk like version.
aniya, I don't wanna.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like that. But yeah, ani is no. Here, this is where this one can be kind of tricky to pronounce because you have the silence and then the o, so it would be like o, and then you have a, so it should be like o a, but when combined, it makes w instead.
Okay.
When you have the o and another vowel next to each other, it becomes w.
Whoa.
So you can have like wa or wo or we.
Whoa, we. Okay,
Depending on which vowel is next.
I understand why, but the memorization factor of that is
Yes.
yeah.
I understand it's like a lot of information very fast. But yeah, so for example, this one is wa, which is basically like wow. Then going wah, whoa.
Okay,
Like
yeah,
that,
because you see that all
you
the
know.
time in variety where they go whoa, like it's basically like going whoa in English,
Yeah.
and you see something exactly, yeah.
Because Korean is an extremely reactive language. Like you're encouraged to react to things. So
Yeah.
wah, yeah, like this. And you can even just be like, you drink some, feel like wah, cheetah. Like, yeah, it's good. Like this. And then here's an example of the circle at the end making the ng. So we have n and I, and then we have n making ning. So ning ning from Espa would be that twice. Ning.
Oh, her name literally is with that. Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
A lot of the time, it is literally what you think it is. Like this, the spelling is exactly how it sounds.
I'm already seeing that. So, like, if I was spelling Chaeryeong, for example, I would be starting. I don't know if you can see my cursor as I'm moving it. Can you?
If you click on something, I can.
Here I'd have to go. So if I'm starting up here, Chaeryeong, this would be the beginning of like starting her, or is that not right? Because it's cha.
That's cha. Yeah.
So
you remember we have the a sound from the vowel sound.
Oh, okay, that's right. I have to have the inclusion of for her.
So
instead
of a,
hers chair doing the beginning of the.
Yeah. So if you remember from the complex vowels, we have the AE. That's the one you'd use alongside the CH, chair, okay. And then you need the and then yong.
Gotcha.
And you'd be able to piece it together. So for example, if we take the ha that we have here, and then the ni from Ani, Hani would be Hani from the XID.
Oh, so her name's really, really simple writing then.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think of other examples. I can't. Well, whatever. Anyway, with double. We have it. I gave the P one at the BP as the double consonant example. So here we have popo, popo. You try popo, which is kiss, a kiss on the cheek.
Okay, and then PP was the double like apple pronunciation. Yeah. Popo. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, popo.
That looks cool when it's written because it's like this very kind of the way the character of it when it's all completed for that is actually kind of cool looking.
Yeah, and it can be very. It's quite satisfying to form the characters together into new shapes and stuff. So we have popo, which is like the kiss on the cheek, and then the actual like English word kiss. So the reason like a lot of like words sound like they end with u is because of that first rule that we talked about, like how you have to have the vowel and the consonant in each letter. Gotcha. So if you just have a consonant sound by itself, a lot of the time they just add the I to make the end of it.
So that's why you always have these English pronounced words that have the very at the end all the time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because when you Koreanize it, you have to still follow the rules of Korean, so you can't just have it by itself.
That makes sense.
Yeah. and then one we have, an. So we have silence a and n. Then the next letter starting with n, and then we have y, and then ng. Anyong.
Anyong.
Anyong. So anyong actually means peace. Is the literal translation. So anyong 안녕하세요 means peace be with you.
So that's actually pretty cool. So the
That's
peace be with you.
Yeah, and then when you say goodbye, 안녕히 가세요 means go with peace, or 안녕히 계세요 means stay with peace.
Okay.
When you're the one who's leaving,
because they usually add like 안녕 하세요 like at the end, right?
하세요.
하세요. 안녕 하세요. 안녕 하세요.
Yeah.
Is the okay.
Yeah.
But they very smoothly roll that like 안녕 하세요. Like,
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Yeah.
The fluidity of it is tricky.
And if you watch a like a news report, they'll go 안녕하십니까. Which is the very polite formal.
Yeah, obviously. So it's kind of like our news. It's very formal speaking. Yeah. If you're on a like news station, everything's gonna be very formal version of the language.
Yeah. There's one more that I wanted to add because I wanted to have at least one four character. So here you can see what it looks like when you have 4 characters making one letter. So you read it top first left to right, and then bottom left to right. So how do you think this would be read?
Well, I see as the second part there. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember what that first half square is. Duh. Yeah. So it'd be like duh.
Mm-hmm.
And then the backwards 2 pronunciation, I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
So that's the
dal.
Yeah.
Dal. And then I need to remember what that character is as well from so here actually let me go back up because now I have these as reference. So if I go back up to the very top, consonants has it. Okay, that's the right?
Yes.
Okay, dalg, like dalg.
Yes, but actually they make it easier, and they just don't pronounce the in this case, and it's just duck.
Duck.
So you go up 2 more.
Gotcha.
There we go. The duck.
Duck.
Yes.
Okay.
So it would originally, perhaps a long time ago, they would have said it duck, but they just made it duck.
So when they have that G written at the end, it's like an unpronounced part of the, or the is an unpronounced part of the word. Okay.
Yeah, at least in this case. This is a word for chicken, incidentally. Duck.
Oh, okay.
So if you have duck,
this is a very important one to know because.
But again, they have. Depending on where you go and the type of food you're ordering, you might see this one instead. So how would you say this one?
Is that cha in the beginning? Cha?
You have ch.
Chi?
Chi?
Because that's I, right? And then have I even seen this next one yet? Which
so this is K is K, but when it's written as part of the word, in order to accommodate the shape of the others, they curve it a little bit.
Oh, so it's literally chicken, right? Because that the N is this is N, like ne, right?
Yep.
Chicken ne.
Yeah, it's literally chicken.
Chicken. Oh, but so I'm not pronouncing this is E at the end, right? I mean at the end, right here. But you're not pronouncing that part. Excuse my alarm going off. You're not pronouncing the I like it at the end.
Yeah, chicken.
Chicken. Okay, so it's literally chicken. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, but that's the cha because the I is there is chi, and then that's k, like that thing that looks like a 3 almost kind of there.
Yeah.
Okay. N is starting to become easy for me to see, and obviously I like when I see it.
Yeah, so you do notice that some of the shapes of letters, it does change. Like I talked about the proximity of the axis of the prong might change depending on certain sounds,
Yeah.
or depending on what letter you're using. So, for example, if we have this one, um, this is whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
So again,
And
this is the same kind of thing as we saw with wa. When we have o or u, and then another vowel, it becomes w, a w
and
sound.
you have that unpronounced in the beginning of the
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wah.
But you see the o sound that we have as the first one, the prong has moved way down in order to make, because otherwise it would be connected to that horizontal bar that makes the u character.
So as your reading is all literally like the pronunciation of how you're ending there because of where the prong is. Like
I don't think so.
no, no, okay. It kind of looks
Maybe,
it kind of looks like
but
it in that with that
but
particular
it's literally
one,
just
but
because otherwise the prong would be at the same level as the u, so it would look like it would be kind
okay.
of weird. It would be
Gotcha.
blended together too much, and it
Gotcha,
would be
gotcha, gotcha.
you wouldn't be able to see if it was it would be difficult to spot to hold on, I have to write these out individually. It might get confusing between this. If there's a
Okay.
prong, you might not know. So this would be, how would you say this one, do you think?
So that's what, so that'd be we like
We.
we
Yeah.
like we like French almost we.
Yeah. Or if you think of
We.
EXID's classic song Up and Down, we allez.
Oh, okay, so that's
We
literally
allez.
like we. We. Okay, so wa and we are written next to each other there.
Yeah, what we.
Wa
Um,
we.
I'll delete those.
And it's just that top is at the end of the first one, making it wa.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And but the prongs just positioned different. Okay.
Yeah. Just
Gotcha.
a variety. Okay. Then we have three. I won't go into everything, but the three most famous numbers for Korean we have next. So we have 하나, 둘, 셋.
Okay, so it's like counting, right?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Again, if we do have another lesson at any time, we can talk about the numbers in more detail, because there's actually two number sets in Korean.
Okay,
There is
so
the pure Korean numbers, and there are Sino-Korean numbers, which are based on Chinese. Even though the Chinese numbers are actually, if you listen to 1 to 10 in Chinese, it's different still. But
yeah, it's a er sun for 1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4.
in
Yeah.
Korean is il I sam san.
Okay.
But, so, but the pure Korean one is the one that you'll hear a lot of the times in songs. 하나, 둘, 셋, and then when they're counting down to something.
Yeah, I've definitely like some of the like 안녕하세요 and like 하나 둘 셋, like some of the things
Yeah.
I've heard the most as like things
Yeah.
pronounced in Korean.
And you can see just how it's formed with, you know, recognizable characters. It makes sense, right? Like we have
Yeah.
ha, we have
And
no,
the A N are really recognizable for me now as I'm seeing them more. Like, and then the ha is the kind of okay ha. Now I got more with that.
yeah.
Hana.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Duh. D, for some reason, the square should be easy for me to remember, like that incomplete square. So, duh.
Yeah.
U is like up inverted ha, kind of going on there. It's kind of an easier way for me to think of. 2 is ul.
Yeah.
Ul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just think that's how your tongue should look. Yeah.
Okay.
And then set. Yeah. Ah, there's set. 1, 2, 3.
So that's the character for S, that first one. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a wishbone.
Yeah, wishbone is a good way of thinking of how it looks, for sure.
So why is E for the I? You know the E pronoun, the I there at the end for se.
It isn't. It's the two lines together in one character.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So the two lines, the two vertical lines, one of which has the prong, is combined is the sound.
Okay, that's That'll be the trickiest part, is remembering the combinations of.
Well, that's why it was in the complex vowels
Yeah, yeah.
section. Yeah, but it's not actually a combination of o and e. Like it's or I. It's like two. It's its own.
It's its
Character.
own
Yeah,
character. Got you. Okay.
it just happens to be made up of two existing ones. Um. Okay, so underneath here we have two words.
I'll scroll down real quick.
3 words even. So, can you try and figure out what these words are? You can refer back. You can refer back to the
I
to
see.
the consonants and vowels to help.
That's ha, right?
Uh-huh.
And then unpronounced for the next ha.
No. Remember, H has a circle component to it anyway.
Okay, so and these are both n, right? Non, like
Uh-huh.
non, right?
So
And
the second
and
character is nan. Yeah. So
non.
what's the first one?
Why am I forgetting with the circle? And I'm gonna go back up to see as a reference with the circle and that. Ha. Is it anywhere in here reference wise?
You need consonant and vowel. It's one of each.
Gotcha. So let me go back up. So consonant sounds. Ha.
You
And
only
then huh. Ha huna.
no.
Oh wait, I was looking at this thinking for some reason. Hold on.
So you have the H, and then underneath it you have a vowel.
Okay. Let me go back to vowels. Why am I not finding the circle with?
Because you're confusing the circle part of the H. So look at the H. The H has the circle in it.
H has the circle in it. Okay.
Yeah. H is the circle with the hat.
H is the circle with the hat.
And then underneath that, attached to the circle that is in the H, there is a vowel for that word that we're looking at.
There's a vowel attached in it. Okay. So let me go back down. So there's a, yo, o, haona. Why am I getting confused about this? Hold on.
To quote Goran, what's your name?
Honan. Oh, okay, so it literally is O. I was reading O, but thinking that it because it has that attachment that it's not O.
Yeah,
but it's
so
ho. Oh, because of ho. Nah, okay, Honan.
Yeah,
so that's my name written. Honan. I'm a dumbass. I should have understood that it was just my name. The non and the H in the beginning.
Maybe you could have used logical deduction, but
yeah,
I appreciate that you went
logical.
to try and work it out properly.
Yeah. Non. Honan. Okay, so the O part isn't just written as O, though. It's written with that extension to it because it has to have a vowel and consonant together, right?
Well, it's literally just H and O. But the O is not by itself, it's with the H. So the H is the consonant. So you don't need to have the silent part because the vowel is not by itself. It's with a consonant already. The consonant is the H. The H
I could have just deduced that it was my name because there's non and H in the beginning.
Yes.
But yes,
the H just so happens to have a circle in it, but it's not related to the circle character on its own.
Okay, I was thinking too much about the circle character being an important factor of what's going on there.
It's just an H and an O.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, hold on. And then how do you think a Korean would pronounce my name? Like
Honan.
They would just say Honan? Like,
yeah,
okay.
Easy. Honan. Yeah, it's a very easy word to, because like nan and ho are both words in Korean, so
so they just be Honan when
Honan.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honan. Okay.
But in English, we're a little harsher with like Honan, like pronouncing like the nan part of that. Honan. Yeah. Okay. So here is literally od, like od, right?
It's not D at the bottom. That's the
ul. But duh is the two, right? Or is it still ul?
Just
ul. I'm talking about, so right here, ul, de, is
Still,
it
they're two
sw?
L's. So it looks slightly
Ul,
different. We have the ul for the first word at the first letter at the bottom,
oh
and we
wait,
have
D is the
ul.
square. The D is the
Yes.
square that's incomplete. D is the square that's incomplete. Okay, so you have
Yeah.
two uls, so it's like the double ul
It's just two.
there.
Yeah. Ul, ul.
Ul,
Yeah.
ul, and then this is the I
Mm-hmm.
pronunciation. So uli, Oliver is what this
Right.
is.
So
Yes, this is
the
Oliver. Okay,
exactly. So the
Oliver.
pronunciation in Korean is olibo.
Okay, Oliver.
Olibo because they don't have V,
Okay,
so they
I see.
use B. Olibo. Oliver.
Oliver.
Yeah. Olibo.
Okay, Oliver. Because
Yeah.
this, when this is, it's off. It's the other way, but it's or if it's this way, right?
Yeah. So when I have
Oliver.
to write my name out on like official forms and stuff, I have to write it like that.
Oliver.
Olibo.
So they don't.
Yeah.
They don't have, just like Vivian is in from AKB48 is
Bibian.
Bibian. Yeah, like Bibian. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And equally how Vivi from Luna is PB,
Vivi. Oh,
which is
okay.
hilarious because it means that BB, as in the R&B singer BB, and Vivi from Luna are both written BB,
Are
which
both
can
written the
be
same.
yes,
Okay,
which can be confusing, but
that's
yeah.
interesting. Oliver.
Yes. So and then the last one it might be a little bit harder, but it's two words here. We have a space in between them.
So I see the as the second character there.
Mm-hmm.
That first character I don't remember off the top of my head. Is that I'm going back up. It's not the k one here. The
Nope.
let's go back up. Do do do. See, I think too hard about the characters right now. Have I seen that character? That first one?
Yeah. So you have the vowel sound, the o, the
The oh.
You were right, yeah. And then
Yeah,
you
I'm
just
right
need
for that one.
yeah, and then you just need the consonant sound that goes with it.
Consonant sounds.
This is another case of the shape of it slightly shifting in order to accommodate. So it's the G.
Oh, it's the g, but it's
Yes.
changed its shape. Okay. So
Yes.
this is Gyoren is gonna be like what this is or something.
Not quite.
So Gyo,
Mm-hmm.
and then this one I need to remember. I just don't have the characters memorized, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I gotta
That's
go
okay.
back up. Gyo,
Take
and
your time.
then Gos, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gos, and then the line. Okay, so let's see. Gos, Gosu,
Gasu.
Gosu,
Yeah.
Gosu. Oh, it's gonna be Gosu Macarthur.
Right.
MacArthur, Gosu
Right.
MacArthur.
Try. How would you try and pronounce the way that MacArthur is written if you look at it?
So MacArthur. There's the U at the end of MacArthur. Gosu MacArthur.
Yeah. So there's no th. They don't have
The
th.
MacArthur. Oh, okay, so no th is so impossible for me to get rid of th in my
So
pronunciation.
we have m and then we have ae and then g. So we have
Mik
mic a do
Mikato.
mikato. Gosu
Oh,
mikato.
okay, Gosu Mikato. Like
Yeah. You
Mikato, because
could
they do do instead of like thir.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you could
Gosu Mikato.
try you could use a syo sound instead, gus makasyo, but I think that would be a bit weirder for
I
people
feel
to
like
try and
yeah,
understand.
Makato is closer to the sound. Yeah.
Yeah, makato. In the same way
Gosu
that
Makato.
olipa, makato,
Makato.
mekato. Yeah.
Makato. I'm
Incidentally,
starting to
the
see the D just adapts its shape a little bit for it being
yeah
okay, and then the G adapts how it's okay.
yeah. Incidentally, the make like there is if you added ju to the end of that, that would be the word for beer, mekju, which is a very important important word to know. Mekju.
I need to know Mingju and chicken's word
Yeah.
like
Mekju hana 주세요. One beer, please. Very important.
Universal language.
Yeah. So if you want, you can try and write or pick the characters, and I can write it for how you would write Goran.
For Goran, yeah. So it would be but if it's starting with Gore, because I know that if I go up to here, that G is that. Like if I go, so it's that, but adding the O is gonna change that shape, huh?
Yes.
So
but as long as you know
or,
that it's the G and the O, right?
yeah. So I know it's this and then the O from the vowel here.
Uh-huh.
So how is that written when you have Go?
I just put it.
Yeah, I'll go back down.
G O. In this case, because we don't have a word next to it, the G actually looks more or less the same as it does when it's by itself.
It's not nearly like I thought. I thought it might be changing the G kind of like before we have that totally different shape for it.
Yeah, the shape changes because it doesn't want the next character to blend into it too much.
I understand. Okay.
But here we're not in danger of that happening, so we don't have to worry as much.
So then I know definitely will be included when we're getting to the ron part and ne, right? Like Goran ne. So they would say Gorane?
No.
Would they say Gorane? Or would they say...
just lan, because we have a vowel and a consonant. We don't need
okay, gotcha. So
the same way that yours is nan, his would just be lan.
Okay, I see. It's Goran. So if we have the... Where's R? That's what I'm trying to find. Ra.
Remember, there is no ra.
There is no ra. Okay, so
we have to use the
okay, that's interesting. So you have to do. So you have to do the two to like to the line and dash prong, right? To the two character to the A character is with the line and prong, and then with N at the end.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Goran.
But it's okay, so that's good to remember that because there's like the non-lan, it doesn't have to have their like pronunciation or ending certain things. Okay, so Goran.
Okay. Now
but theirs would be more like Gora, like
Goran.
Goran.
Yeah.
Not Goran, but Goran.
Yeah. And like if you think of like Purple Kiss, you think of Goten. Very the same first letter go and then just instead of one, just so
no
similar kind of thing.
Damn, his actually looks pretty sick written because I liked like the two character like
if you want to get a really corny tattoo, get your Korean
the Hangul version of my name. It's the new tribal tattoo. Replace tribal tattoos with Hangul.
Okay, so this is the final test for this. So there's a couple of words. These are I'll say that the first selection here, the first 6 are all people's names or stage names. So you can try and figure out who they are. Who is who?
Is that first one Auden?
Nope.
This is an Auden.
We have
E, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that? See, the character memorization is still the hardest part for me.
That's okay.
So if I go back up
and check. So this would be a vowel that you need.
Vowel. Is it a complex vowel or no? Ayo.
Think a little bit. Think a little bit about it.
Who am I not remembering that is I? But this is what's at the end, right?
Yeah.
You. Okay. Because I'm forgetting that. Okay, yeah. Okay, IU. Wow, her name is way more looking of character than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be
Yeah.
like very simplified character looking versus like
IU.
IU. And she has those two unpronounced ungs in the beginning of each of those.
Like every one is a vowel standing by itself, so there is an unpronounced one in each.
It's confusing to think of I as like ah.
I. It's
I. You.
Yeah.
Okay.
IU.
IU.
Okay. Try the next one.
So this has a complex vowel in it, right? I see there the E to that. I only know that this at the end is an N, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I gotta find the rest of the E, the double, that. Okay. So if I have that pronunciation, go to E again. Ba 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 da da da. So go double. Okay, so it has this. This is the double that's in there, right?
Yeah.
Eh.
A.
Eh. And then the what is the E that was in the beginning?
Yeah, just think of the double one here at A.
Teon.
Teon. Exactly.
Teon. It's Teon,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Teon. So Teon.
Obviously, the yon ending is a really common name ending. Yon, like that.
Yeah.
So if you think of na, which we have in your name as well, nan,
Yeah.
na yon, from Twice. For example.
Oh, okay. So if you took that as nayon from the end of my name.
Okay. If we took the word for cheyon, like
okay.
this, like lots of very similar, and even as well, even starting words as well. We have yonjung from.
So you'll see this quite a bit, here.
Yon. So there's actually there's a very finite amount. Obviously, there's a finite amount, but there's a very limited amount of hanja, which led to these phonemes that are actually can be used as names in Korean. Like you cannot just make up any old name you want out of any old letter combination in Korean. It's not allowed, basically. So you kind of have to use. So obviously for stage names, you use whatever.
Yeah.
But for actual names, you do actually just have to stick to a certain number of hanja, which limits the amount. So you'll see
you get a lot of like Kim and stuff.
That's
like
why
that as well.
That's why family names are, there's a lot of very common ones. Kim, Pak, Che, very common ones. Yeah.
That's how Taeyeon is written pretty cool. Like when you see the
Taeyeon.
Okay, so I know that that's E, and then the second character there, the I pronounced as E, right?
Yeah.
And then just need to remember that first character there. If I go up, so when it has the thing through, is it ha when it's the?
Nope.
Hold on. Oh, J.
Yeah.
Oh, it's G, right?
Correct.
Okay, it's G. Okay.
The powers of deduction are working nicely.
Yes, now I'm thinking more logically than being a dumbass trying to go through like each.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to just because the character memorization, it helps for me if I try to individually think of like learning each.
Yeah, but it's important to note, of course, that the you can see the similarity between IU and GU, right? We have the same characters essentially.
Oh yeah, I could have just looked over here remembering that was you.
Right. But if you were to look at the character on its own, it would be GU like this. Okay. That's how we say it, right? We don't say we say GU, but we romanize it as GU.
But
if you tried to write JIU in Korean, it would be GU. So you would have one downward facing prong instead of two. GU. But that would be pronounced GU.
So if Jiu writes her own name in their version of romanized, it would have the Y.
Yeah,
kind
GU.
GU.
That's how she's writing it. Yeah. Okay.
So then, okay, and so now when it has the thing I just saw, but hold on. So and now it doesn't have the O for it being
Well, now it's just one letter.
one letter. Okay, so
We have
that's...
one consonant, one vowel. Remember, the consonant will always come first.
Yes. So we have ch, and then yo at the
Not
bottom.
yo.
It's not
yo.
this. It's not yo. Yo.
Nope. It's you.
You. Chew. Oh, chew like chew from Luna. Okay, that's how chew's written.
Yeah,
chew.
so it's actually even would it be pronounced even cuter if you were to read this on its own, but it would be like chew.
Chew.
Which is it's essentially a kissing noise. Like, chew.
So is the like silent factor of these with GU and IU not included here because of ch being the beginning factor of it?
It's just kind of the way it is.
It's one of it is how it is.
I think if you
because I'm thinking too hard about how GU has the silent in there.
No, yeah, because they're separate words, because they're separate letters.
Gotcha.
Because we don't need it. It's not chi you, in which case we would have to move it to a separate character.
I see.
But
okay.
Separate letter. Yeah, it's just one letter. Chew.
This is ch written again, just more wishbone shaped, right?
Yeah.
And there's the double kind of thing going on there, and then but backwards.
So we have the same one that we have in Taeyeon. So we have che.
Cheon.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's not Cheryong, it's Cheon.
No, this is. Think about it. Think about how the second one. How do you say the second one?
the okay, hold on, let me go back up to I see. So and then when we have that l sound, so this is what's making it Cheryong, right?
Yes.
Okay, the r, the lr, like Cheryong. Okay, I get it. All right, that makes sense. All right. Finally, now that I think about the okay, so but you're not going like Young, it's Cheryong.
Cheryong. Yeah.
Okay. They say Cheryong or like
Cheryong.
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 Okay.
Cheryong.
So that is the most important factor in her name being Cheryong.
Cheryong. Yeah.
Cheryong. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the che part of it is the double character, right? It's
not a double. It's just the AE complex vowel.
Oh, it's a complex vowel. That's right. Okay. Yeah. My bad.
Just think of the AE as the way how we say A, and then the A character is just A.
Okay.
It's A and A, like long A and short A.
So I see there's the N and the I at the end. And what is the wishbone on its own without going through the top?
S.
Sion? No way. Hold on. S.
We know it ends with I, so it ends with an E.
Why is this one confusing me for some reason? Hold on. S, there's an N, there's an I at the end.
So read the first character from left to right. We have S.
I don't remember what... This is an A, though, right? Because it's not facing the other way.
If it was facing the other way, it'd be A.
Yeah. And then
So.
It's... So.
And then the N. Son.
Sun.
The
Who
square.
Am I forgetting?
What the square? I think you're mixing up what sound the square makes.
Yeah, I don't remember the square. Song. Dude, I feel so stupid right now. What is the square? Ma.
So, but not ah because we don't have ah. Just and
Sunmi,
then
Sunmi,
sunmi.
Sunmi,
There we go.
Sunmi, Sunmi. I'm literally okay. Sunmi, Sun, Sun, me. Okay, I see because this is the N and I at the end. Sun, me. Interesting how that's like actually for some reason a confusing one to look at for me. And I think it's just the square makes me forget everything else as I'm looking at it. But
Yeah.
ma is the square, but because there's an I at the end, it's me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, you can now think about how different components of these words make other paints. So, for example, when watching Produce 48, we know about Takeuchi Miyu,
Okay.
right? Or equally, if we think about main vocalists from G Idol, you'd have Mi Hyun,
Oh, okay. Mi
right?
Yun, yeah, that's a really simple one because of just the mi and then Yun is the same abbreviation as
I
Tae
just one
and N.
member that you refer to as Cheryong's sister, Cheon.
She just has no in there. Okay.
Yeah, Cheon, Cheryong. The L
Cheon,
is very
Cheon.
lightly pronounced in Cheryong. Cheryong,
It's very like Cheryong.
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 Yeah,
Okay.
Cheryong.
So yeah, the hardest part is purely character memorization.
Yeah, honestly, once you have that down,
Yeah.
it gets quite easy. So let's crack on. We've got 9 more things to get through, and
I don't feel like I'm gonna get any quicker because my characters being
that's
memorized
all
right
right.
now is like not in my brain. I do now
People watching along
recognize
can try and
young.
see if they can do it faster
Oh, there'll
or
definitely be
slower
people
than
who
you.
do it faster. To be fair to myself, this is like the first time I've paid attention to Korean
Yeah.
characters and actually trying to understand what they are and say. Okay, so this is N right here, but you have like the before. This is ah. This is
Try to read it as you would say it, rather than just looking
the
at which one
top.
you recognize.
The top there, I don't remember what that is. The
So it's again, I think this is the H sound that you need to remember has the circle and
oh, just
the
like
hat.
my name.
Yeah, it looks like it could be 2 characters, but it isn't. There is no individual character that is a line. Oh no, that's a lie. There is, but it would never be on top.
So it's Hona
So we have H and then A and N, right? So we have Han,
Han.
just the same as we had in Hana. Well, same characters.
Okay, and then
So
this is
Han,
ul at the end, right?
uh-huh.
Yeah, so Hanul. Hasul?
No,
No, because there's no S here
no.
character.
This is not an idol name.
This is
I'll
not an idle name. Okay,
no.
so I'm trying to remember what this opposite square what the line is. So I know that this is
So this one can look a little
Hana
strange.
is the first half of it, right? Hana.
Just Han.
Han is the first
So
half of it.
yeah. So there are 3 characters in the second letter.
3 characters in the second letter. All right, so
Yeah.
I know ul is the last one, so I just need to remember those first 2. There we go.
Yeah. So we have it's consonant, vowel, consonant. So we have
G and
G.
the line is u.
Yeah.
Hangul.
Hangul. There you go.
Hangul.
Hangul.
Okay, Hangul. Okay,
This is
yeah,
how
gotcha.
you would write the word for Hangul in Korean.
And the L. Okay, that's the L slash R. Okay, L slash R.
Yeah.
Hangul.
Yeah.
Hangul.
So
And I gotta put like my tongue at the top of my mouth to get
Han,
that.
Hangul has a double meaning. Well, triple meaning actually. But Han means great, and Gul means script. So Sejong literally called Hangul the great script because he was being dramatic. But Han is also the word for Korean people. Has become a word for Korean people because the river that flows through Seoul is the Han River. and the word for Korean is Hanguk. It means like the people of the Han, basically. So it's like the Korean script as well as great script. Yes.
So if I was to spell hasul, I would just get rid of the gu and this part here, right? So it'd just be
You
ha, the
ha
gu.
and yeah, so you wouldn't need the N obviously, and then
Yeah,
you
you wouldn't need the end, and you'd get rid of the gu, and you'd have hasul, right?
replace the g with s,
Gu
and you
with
would make hasul. Hasul.
ha, s. I see. Okay.
Hangul hasul. Yeah.
Hasul. Okay.
Hasul.
Yeah, that's easy. So you just get rid of n and gu, and gu. I'm starting to because S I should know because part of the yeah, it's the wishbone, and then U is the line, and U is the two.
Yes.
A's easy, like the A, and then now I'm starting to say ha.
Once you get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last part. Group names. The first one is one that I know you know how to say.
Son yesterday.
Yeah. Exactly. Sonyoshide.
I just looked at the S's and I knew it was Sonyoshide.
Sonyo. And then remember we said the rule I said at the start that when it's S and I together, it's sh. But S and any other vowel is like so, su, sa. But when I, it's sh. So it'd be she, de. She, de. Literally girls' generation.
Literal translation.
Yeah.
Sonyeoside.
Yes. Sonyo is girl and shide means like a generation.
Okay, so first for this one I need to remember what the upside down like A with square with ears is there.
Yeah, the square with ears.
Square with ears. So let's go back up. Buh. Okay. Buh. Let me see if I could do all the other characters purely from memory. So B.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me go back up because we just recently did E, right? So Te. BTS. No, wait, because there's no ed. There's no. I'm sorry. I'm just trying. That's dumb. Hold on. B.
Well, the first letter and the last letter are the same, so you have that going for you. It's B something B.
Is this B2B?
Yeah.
B2B.
We have the T and U.
B2B. B2B. Yeah.
Which of course stands for Born to Beat.
Born to Beat. B2B. Yeah. Okay. So that's an easier one. Okay. B2B.
Yeah. They do sort of get progressively harder.
Yeah. So then I'm remembering that line is U.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to.
Yeah.
And
this one you'll have to remember what I said about two vowel sounds together becoming a w sound.
W. E.
So because we have the A in the second letter,
Su at the end. Su at the end, or
yeah.
Su. Twice.
Twice.
But you gotta be like at the end, right? Twice.
Yeah.
Twice. Twice. It's funny because in their songs they don't pronounce it that way though, do they? They go like twice when they do like the.
Yeah, but if you listen to their greeting, they're like 1 in a million. Yes, you're twice in you.
Okay. Twice.
Yeah.
Twice, and then okay, so you have B again here. You have bull. Bull.
Yeah.
And the is it starting with il again?
Yeah.
And this is the reverse when it's not N. I'm not remembering what the reverse is.
G. This is the same as in is in the word we did for Gus MacArthur. We did mech. This is just lek. Instead of ma, it's le.
Bulla.
Blek.
Blackpink. Yeah. Blackpink.
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 Yeah. Although honestly, Blackpink's name is one. There are certain idol group names that are basically never written in Korean, and Blackpink is it's ITZY is what I almost never see written in its Korean.
It's always romanized when you see it. Okay. Blackpink. But when a Korean says Blackpink, they don't say Blackpink. They say Blackpink, like Blackpink, kind of.
Yeah.
Blackpink.
Be like that. Blackpink.
It looks like something you'd order off a menu or something like.
I mean, this isn't even like an accurate romanization. I literally just romanized every single character.
Blackpink.
Blackpink.
So yeah, starting with ul again on the next one here.
Yes.
Why am I so bad with not remembering when ah is reversed as a character or whatever?
Remember, this is the it's two vertical lines, but the prong on the left is the eh.
Le.
Eh. Yeah.
Le.
Yeah.
Le.
No, le.
In the beginning, the incomplete square is the. God, why is my character memorization so bad? Incomplete square is duh.
Mm-hmm.
Bed. Bed. Do. Is this down here? What's the line again for memorization's sake? When we just have a line. S. Or wait, no. Like. Bado. Is that what it is in this beginning? Bado?
No, you changed your l to a b for the beginning. Led.
Led to a b. Led. Why is this one? I can't think of this one at all.
This one is pretty hard as a.
And then B here.
Yeah.
And then again.
The last character will be a sticking point, so I'll explain the last one to you. So, in Korean we have something called a glottal stop, which is where the sound is cut off rather than fully pronounced. The best way that I have to explain how that works is if you think of an English person saying in it. The word in it is written INNIT, but you don't say in it.
Yeah.
You go in it. Like the T is not fully pronounced, but neither is it not there at all. And in Korean, there are several characters which, when placed at certain points in a letter, indicate that this is supposed to happen. So you can kind of consider it as a T, but it's not a hard T. It's like a very cut off T. So we have basically bet at the end. Bet. So we have le de belle bête.
Le de velvet is red velvet.
Yes.
Le de velvet. Le de velvet. Le de velvet.
Yeah, they really chose an English word which has letters which do not exist in Korean and have to be approximated.
See, because it had nothing that felt like red velvet, even a little bit in there, I wouldn't have ever assumed like le de velvet. Le de velvet. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So it feels weird to try and pronounce red velvet. Le de velvet.
Yes.
Le de velvet. Oh, I've seen Wendy make fun of that. Okay.
Le de velvet.
She makes fun of Lee Took or whatever.
Lee Took and
he doesn't understand her when she's saying that. She goes, she does like le de velvet.
She's going red velvet, and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Le de velvet. And he's like, oh. But Lee Took fully understood what he was doing, and he understood that he was making her suffer. He was doing it for comedic purposes.
Yeah, he understood what she says. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
So here, Once I have character memorization down, I'll like review these, and I'll probably think how stupid, how long some of these took for me.
Yeah.
So again, like with the why have I already forgotten that this is N, right? Like na, ne.
Yep.
So you have ne.
Mhm.
Wait, is that I?
Yeah.
Ne.
Remember, the I is where it's pronounced like E.
Na,
The
ni.
nay,
Ne. Nature.
nato.
Neta.
Yeah, exactly.
Necha. Oh,
Nato.
because this is cha, right? Like the ch right
Yeah.
here, and then okay, yeah. Necha.
Nato.
Nature.
There is, of course,
Nature.
there is a word in Korean for nature. I think it's jayon, jayon, I think. But this is the English word.
Because their
Nato.
nature as a group romanizes their name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a group like Red Velvet where your name's like romanized all the time, it's really confusing to the like Leda Velvet. So it's like the Leda Velvet.
Yeah.
Nature. Nature.
My autocorrect is saying, "Did you mean le double bet?" No, I did not. Okay, 3 more.
Let's see.
This one is this one is hard because it's similar to SNSD, where it's a Korean word, Korean words rather than
rather than the
a
what the
romanization.
romanized name we're used to.
Yeah,
Be, but that's be right in the beginning.
ba.
Ba. Oh, ba. It's not yet.
But
Ba.
we have the ng then, so bang.
Oh, okay. Bang with S there to here.
We have an S in the third letter, but not the second. So bang.
Bang. Bang. And then I see. Okay, because N. But what is banks? Because I'm trying to remember what this line with the up prong is as a character.
Which one?
This
one?
yeah.
But
I know
what's
the
this one?
S wishbone
Sorry.
character.
What is this one first?
So bang.
Bang. We have bang as the first letter.
Because I know that this is N, and then I know that this is A.
So it has to be it has to be an something start. But what's the first consonant?
I don't remember the E, so let me go back up to the capital E is ta. Bang tang boys.
Bang tan. Yeah.
Bang tang boys.
Yes, but it's not boys.
but that's the romanized name for them, right? Bang tang.
Yeah.
Boys.
Bang tan means bulletproof.
Okay. Bang tang. But how do you say boys and there's no buh for like boys here.
No, it's like I say, it's a Korean word, not it's not just the.
No.
So third letter we have S. The wishbone, it looks a little bit wider, but it's still the S with the O, so so.
So this first part is bang tan.
Bang tan, so.
Yeah. So.
And then this one we have 2 N's.
Yeah, and I know the N's, I just don't remember the double prong there.
Okay, so check out the vowels.
Go back up. Is it the yeah, okay.
No.
Wait.
One vertical line, double prongs to the left.
One vertical. Oh, yo.
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 So neon.
Nyon.
Nyon. N-yo.
Nyon yo.
Nyon. Yeah.
So bangtang nyon yo.
No. Bangtan so nyon.
Bangtan so nyon.
And then the last one is. You have to look.
yeah. Sorry, I'm going back down.
The last one.
Dan. Dan.
Bangtan son yon dan.
Dan. That's Dan
Yeah.
written at the end there. Okay, Dan.
Yeah. Yes, Dan.
D-A-N at the end there, Dan.
Yeah, so it would be written like Dan, D-A-E-N. It would be the Koreanization of the word Dan, the name Dan.
So it's Bantan Soyodan.
Yeah, so Bang Tan So Nyon.
Yong Dan.
So if you
Bangtan
remember,
Soyodan.
if you look at Sonyo Shide, we
Hmm.
have So Nyo, right at the
Yeah.
start. Son Nyo, and then in
Sonyo.
Bangtan we have Son Nyon.
Okay.
So Sonyo is girl, Son Nyon is boy.
Okay, that makes sense. Songyo, Sonyo.
A way of saying it. You can also say Nanda Ai or Yoda Ai, but don't worry about it. Yeah, Sonyo, Sonyon.
All right, so I know on this next one I have a D start here.
Yep.
Is that ooh? Hold on. No. Let me go back up to the line as a reference. Ooh. Boo.
Mm-hmm.
Boo. Bool. Because there's a L here. Bully.
There's no B.
Oh wait, duh. Why am
Yeah.
I trying to swap D's and B's? Dual.
Right, in the brackets as you go.
Oh wait, I need to go back up to this for duh. So it's D, duh, with the with E. This is God, I remember this because we came across it earlier. This is I see there's a chair at the end thing going on too. Okay, so
one at a time.
I know I want to glance to the ones I know every time,
I
then instead of trying to do it order, duh, and then dui, because duli,
Dulima.
Dulima.
So not ma. I said it wrong. Dulima.
Duli. So
the square is just M. Remember.
Can you tell me what this character is again? The one I'm kind of highlighted on right here.
Well, so first one.
So I know I have Duli.
Then we have K.
K.
We have the K character, and then AE. So K.
Dudim
In K.
Dudim K. What the hell is this? Dudum K?
Dream K.
Dudum K?
Say
and
that.
then CH right here, right? On this.
Yeah. Cho.
Cho. Dudum K Cho. Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher. Okay. Dreamcatcher. Dreamcatcher. God, it makes so much more sense now. Dude, character memorization is actually like gonna take me a bit. Okay, so I have my D's, I know S when I see it, I know A when I see it, and like N when I see it. It's remembering specifically some of these like lines, and I know U now when I see it too, but like this one when it shows up is confusing for me because of the K. Okay, so it's K, but it's just gotta fit there, so they changed kind of how it's written. Okay.
Yeah.
Jarim Ketcha. Jarim Ketcha. Okay.
Last one.
Is that? I feel like my brain has fully shut down.
If you remember the spelling of your own name, which is always a good one. So we have Ho.
Ho. And then I need to remember what E is. I know that we have U down here, and we have A, right? With A.
Yeah. So we have a lot of these sounds before. The E is T.
Hoti. Hoti.
This is an English word.
Hotel. Hotel. Like hotel.
Just E. So hotel.
Hotel del Luna.
Hotel del Luna.
Del
Exactly.
Luna. Hotel del Luna. I see the D A. So, but they say del like for the del Luna, like del
So,
ho
hotel,
del.
literally del Luna.
But
It's
they
literally the
the
same.
way it's written, isn't it pronounced like del, like the
Del. No,
del
just del.
del? Okay, del.
Yeah. I think the E one, the E is one you stuck on as well.
That I
Two,
like
two
being
vertical
pronounced as
lines,
e.
one with
Yeah.
the left prong is just eh.
Okay, de hotel del Luna. De. Oh, because it has those words that are cut, like as the. Okay, yeah. Hotel del Luna. Okay, gotcha.
Yes. Not, but of course, this
So,
is not to be confused with the um way that the group Luna is.
because that's two O's or whatever for that, right?
Well, that's how we write it in English, but the Korean word is like a completely different one, which is this. Because remember, if you remember Girls' Generation, Sonyo is the same. We have girl at the end, right?
Yeah.
And the first word is idalwe.
Either
So
way.
yeah,
It's confusing
girl.
for something like Luna being girls.
It
Girl
literally
of the
translates the
month.
girl of the month.
Okay, yeah. That's right. So if you're in like
Wow.
Korea and you say Luna to someone, do they sometimes are they like? Cause
Sometimes they need you to. If if you say, "Oh, do you know Luna?" They'll go. They might if they're not. They don't know them.
mm.
They'll be like, "Huh?" And you go, "Idole Sonyo." And they go, "Ah, okay." And then that's usually followed up with, "Ah, Chu." Yeah, yeah.
That everyone knows Chun. That's the like. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, we should do like give me some time to memorize those characters and then come back to it giving me fresh ones, see how much quicker I can my synapses can fire when I know all the characters. I think honestly the most confusing one to me was Red Velvet.
Yeah. Little bit.
I think I looked at that one and trying to think Red Velvet looking at that would have never come to my mind.
Yeah,
Like
that one is tricky to remember, especially because it has the Glottal Stop. You
I don't know why
think of like
Dreamcatcher was so confusing for me once you have
Dream Kecho.
Darim Kecho.
Dream.
Darim
Dream
Kecho.
Kecho.
Interesting. Let me try and guess to end, I guess, or is the to do like oh so let me see if there's a name I can try and think. So Chaeyoung's is really easy now that I'm thinking about it because of just one the ul being the only deciding factor in that.
Yeah.
Like if I come back up to so that is their name is so it's literally like almost spelt the same in their language. It's just that one.
But it's not Che Young. It's Che Yon.
Yon. Okay.
N, not NG at the end.
Oh, she doesn't have the Che Yong. Is it
Yeah.
Yon? Yon Yong, right?
Yeah.
Yon Yong. Okay, so it is two differences there with the
But
pronunciation.
so if you were to have Che Young as in NG, like Che Young from Twice or Che Young from Promise 9,
yeah,
it would be replacing the L in Cheryong with another circle to be silent to indicate that it's just young.
I see. Okay.
Che Young.
I'll have to really focus purely on character memorization at first.
Well, yeah, honestly, once you have that down and you get familiar with the idea of reading some of it, and just learning kind of the trends and the way that you often see different characters blended together and so on, it becomes fairly straightforward. And certainly there's somewhere it's like, oh, it makes sense why this is not why that we have this written in English no more. So, for example, this is I won't make you read all of this. So, so this is tomorrow by together. Tomorrow by
Like
together.
TXT,
TXT.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's certain groups like that. If I saw like the TXT written in Korean, I would have never even tried to like
Well, you
originally.
could. You read tomorrow
No,
by
no, but I'm of course if
together.
I know the characters and I'm
Yeah.
sounding that out. But as someone beforehand, not knowing the characters, you could show
Yes.
that to someone who knows nothing about the Korean language, and that's never going to be where they're going to try and assume, like that
Yeah.
that TXT is this long written thing of
There are
Hangul.
there are
Tomorrow by
some
together.
there are some which are just like really really cursed to think like this one it would be EXID.
Oh, that's
EXID.
it. EXID.
Yeah. And then of course if we took this part of it and we simply change to I have to bring up my Korean keyboard to do this. I'll say X if we take the ek and then we add so exo.
Oh, okay. And they're pronouncing like we're going exo, and they're really putting that s in the
Exo.
exo, yeah, like
Yeah.
into the pronunciation.
It's a different syllable part, yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
gotcha.
X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I gotta remember like some of those things that don't exist, like V and no R. Like I'm not saying like R in their language,
Yeah.
like it's the for L/R. It's some of those removing kind of the English side of things from your mind that are difficult at first.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's the key is that you just can't think of it as how do I understand this in the context of English is not the best way of you just have to default. You have to remove that and just think only
it's like if you
brain.
met someone like Vivian and you yelled Vivian, they wouldn't turn around or something because it's not Vivian.
I mean, I think Vivian knows that.
She knows that
Vivian.
her name. Yeah.
Don't make me think of meeting Vivian. My heart can't take it.
So
anyway, in fairness, you shouldn't forget the V and B thing, thanks to her, at least.
Yeah, no, that's made it a lot easier actually. Is when we were watched Produce 48 and I saw her spelled as Bibian or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, but I realized, oh, you told me like there's no V, so I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. But I thought they're like someone translating made like a funny version of her name or something the first time we saw that though, like Bibian, like she's like
Bibian.
So, anyone watching, Oliver's a very good teacher. It's early in the morning, and I'm a bit of a dumbass with some of these things. So
It's pretty well, honestly.
I think next time when we do like a review, the character memorization. Once you have that down, I can definitely see how much easier this can be.
Yeah.
The character system of it, I can understand now why it can be a simplified understanding of a lot of this once you have that all memorized.
Yeah, and honestly, once you sit down with the characters for a bit, it's not very difficult to memorize them. You really start to. It's only when you start seeing some combinations and stuff that you're kind of like, wait, hold on.
No, there's some already seeing them the first time when I really know what and N and S and like those are when I'm seeing them. I'll have to pay a lot of attention to like when I go back up. Why am I forgetting right now? I'll have to pay a lot of attention to the complex vowels are where I think I made a lot of mistakes with complex vowels in there.
Yeah.
Because I would read the complex vowel sometimes just not even thinking about the other line. So thinking that it's just like the first part of it is not one thing, like that's all just pure, that's all like repetition of reading and looking at it. So
sure. And it's only really those four that you need to remember.
Nice. Everyone like really thanks dude for like making it all up into this like system like this. It's really cool.
Happy to. that'll be $60.
I feel like my status as a Miyane, I should recognize Sun Mi in my heart when I see it.
Yeah, actually, if you remember the music video for Noir, I think it's even on the thumbnail at the bottom. It has like hashtag Sunmi
Written
under.
in Hangul.
Yeah.
I feel like Taeyeon's looks the coolest written in characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that like cool ending of the Yeon when you see it. Like
Well, Taeyeon and Chaeryong are more like authentic Korean names, whereas the others are more stage namey. Right?
Yeah.
Like Ji obviously is Kim Min-ji is her real name.
Hasul's kind of looks like a fancy, like writing almost, if that makes sense. Like
maybe that's just because your image of Hustle is this like classy,
this glamorous person. Well, I think that was it for part 1 of our Hangul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'll have to. The number one thing I'll have to do is character memorization, and then in the future, when I'll tell you when I feel like I'm ready to attack new words and names you throw at me.
I'm sure you can do great. And if you haven't been studying, I'll give you the ruler across the knuckles. Something I wish I could do to my students.
Is it? I'll make like the Hangul in my name. Maybe that'd be a cool thing to make and put on my guitar or something. Although then I'm becoming like that person that does tribal tattoos and stuff.
Property of Honan.
Property. Well, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I guess just if anyone is watching this who might not have had any interest in us before, but has just stumbled across this looking for learning Korean or whatever, keep at it. You know, it's a difficult language, but it's very rewarding once you start to get it and once it starts to click. I think because of how logical it is, once it all starts making sense, it feels very satisfying to do and understand and start constructing words of your own and stuff. Yeah.
To conclude, I do apologize if anyone frustrated watching this at how long I took for some of them. It's the first time I've seen these characters and as what they are, trying to memorize them. So I feel like if I do like a reattempt of all of these with the character memorization, it'll go a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm.
But still, really nice. Thank you for the way you formatted it. It is a lot easier to understand now that I'm like have explanations for it versus just seeing when everyone shares those like color-coded videos and my brain's like, well, that looks interesting. You know,
yeah.
And you just see like, yeah. So it's very cool. I could see why people talk about their system of alphabet being simplified versus when I was on Rosetta Stone doing like Mandarin, and then my brain just wanted to shut down and crawl in a corner and cry.
Yeah. You don't have to
like,
memorize thousands of characters and,
yes.
and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Honan.
I'm Oliver.
And bye.